All right. Hello and welcome everybody to the Business Line podcast episode. I'm always wondering, 18? Is that where we're at today? Okay.
Yep, Bran.
Memory hasn't failed me yet. Episode 18 of the Business Line podcast, the daily BLP. Nice to see everyone here joining us today. Got a nice little show planned out. We're going to talk about some recent things from yesterday and what's going on today in the world of Panacea. A couple news items, maybe check in on some efficiency stuff, and we'll get you guys off and on your way. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get it rolling by seeing who's with us today. Declan just left to get me the pot of coffee. So if you see a pot of coffee appear on the table, that's because Declan is bringing it to me right now. But he didn't bring me anything warm. Or can you get a towel? There's a towel on the counter. That way it won't melt the table. Thanks, bud. Anyway, Declan is here with us today. He's playing the role of French maid, or butler, I guess you could say butler. We've also got Manoj joining us in from our office in India. How you doing this morning, Manoj?
I'm good, Bran.
Good. Good to see you as usual. Everything's working or we wouldn't be recording. Thank you, bud. We've also got Manish, not too far from Manoj. Manish, how you doing this morning, my friend?
Hey Brian, I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Here comes the butler. He does exist.
You should say thanks to your butler. You got, in-house butler.
Thank you, my son. All right. And also, last but certainly not least, Matt Dugan joining us from Colorado.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here. How you doing, Brian? It's no hat Matt today. We're without
no hat
the
Matt. That's okay, man.
Yes.
You look slick. You got a good mop up there, man. Hang on to it while you can.
We got it going.
That's right. Cool. All right. Well, let's get scooting here. So, what happened yesterday since we last opened up the airwaves? Drove to meet with a client, doing what we call in this case, an annual business review. I think it's been a year since I sat down with this client. Sometimes even we fail to do this properly. We should never let a year go by, and like we haven't. It's not like as a company we haven't talked to a client in a year. Their Scribe client, our team is talking to their doctors and every day. In fact, the administrator of this clinic I sat down with, she's like in the same office as the doctor, so she hears them and talks to them every once in a while too. So they got good contact, but just kind of checking in from a higher level. How are things going? If they're good, why do you think they're good? What are some of the great things that our services are causing to happen? And she had a couple of good things to say. I mean, as far as our Scribe services go, she talked about how much the doctors love their scribes. In fact, she said when they found out I was meeting with you today, Brian, I was worried, but I wasn't worried. The doctors were worried because the last time we had this kind of a meeting, we had to tell them that we were transitioning scribes, that we're, assigning a couple new scribes because their current scribes were getting promoted. And, we don't just like today they're here, tomorrow they're gone kind of a thing. It's over a month process, a new scribe getting trained, shadowing and all that stuff. And it's a stressful process for them because it's kind of like taking away their best friend and trying to force them to have a new best friend, because these scribes turn into best friends. It's funny. Sharon, who I was meeting with, said, sometimes they get jealous because the doctors like their scribes more than the rest of us, and which I don't know. It's good feedback to hear I love to hear that. So they love their scribes, but in fact, after they switched a little over a year ago, they're like, well, our new scribes are even better than our last scribes. So it was kind of a bittersweet thing, but they were worried that we were meeting because it talked about scribe transition, which we weren't. But the reality in that type of work is, the scribes would love to be with their doctors forever, and the doctors would love to have the same scribes forever. But things change, priorities change. Promotional opportunities come up for our team members, and this is a career for them, not necessarily just a come in and punch the clock kind of thing. So they're building on good experience, and when an opportunity arises to promote them and they want to take it, then we've got to do something new for them. And sometimes they take a new job or other things happen. So just like anything else, no one can guarantee in Scribe services that they're never going to get a new scribe. But these doctors are so happy. They're kind. They get their tasks done fast. They're efficient. And one of the things to take note of, guys, is one of the that we've never really marketed our services on is for an organization like this, which is an orthopedic practice. They have clinic and they have surgery center, and their administrator Sharon, she's like, one of the biggest benefits that we've learned about this, in addition to giving the doctors more time, making their job more palatable and improving morale, is it allows them to better be prepared for surgeries and get surgeries scheduled in a timely manner. Because what happens is doctors, high functioning doctors that are seeing a lot of patients, sometimes they get into this rotation where they don't have time to do all their notes and write everything down and then type it up and stuff like that. And if they don't have a good a solution in place to get that done fast, those things can lag a bit, and you can't schedule the surgeries until the notes in the system are done, because the surgeries and what needs to happen in those surgeries are predicated off of what's in the notes. Like, is it the right arm or the left arm, or the right knee or the left knee, whatever. So that's it. And since they've had scribes, they haven't had a problem with that, because notes are done at the end of the day. So when it's time to schedule their surgeries, their schedulers can look at the notes, figure out what needs to be done, and get things in. So that is really cool. So it was a great meeting. Talked about a couple other things that they might need help with. Maybe they might need some help with authorizations. So that's kind of comes from the revenue cycle management and billing wing of the business, and some help with calling on or receiving calls making calls to patients in regards to their insurance policies to make sure that they're eligible and authorized for things too. So there's kind of a calling the payers for authorization, but also talking to the patients too. It's just something that they're running short on time to get done. There was one other thing, I can't remember, something that we're going to try to test the scribes to do with them. So that's cool. Great meeting. Moral of that story, folks, is as you grow your business, as you bring on clients, as you start to have teams in your business that are doing the work, don't neglect to stay in touch with your clients, because your biggest supporters and your biggest fans are the people you're doing a really good job for. And if you don't get in front of them to find out how things are going, they just assume it's going good or not. And things can stack up, like bad things can stack up that you weren't aware of, that they're just kind of sandbagging or they don't want to bother you with. Those can lead up to losing clients. But the other things, you want to know about the good things so you can shout them from the rooftop, and find out if they know anybody else that can help you. So it's one of the things that I've probably in my career been the worst at, is a good referral system, something I still want to put in place. But at minimum, you got to remember to ask the people that like you if there's anybody else that they know could use your help. So coaching point of the day: don't forget to talk to your clients, check in with them, talk about what their future plans are, all those things, because you'll find more ways to help them typically, and they already know, like, and trust you. So it's some of the easiest new business to create. All right, moving on from there. Speaking of new business, Bob, Arsenal Alert, booked another appointment yesterday. This one's relatively unique. So it's not in Wisconsin, which they call on 3 counties for us. He actually booked a meeting in Phoenix. So Phoenix is a market that we locked up for them, because that's a market we want to move into. And he's been dabbling, calling here and there, but he actually booked a meeting with a pretty good opportunity, one location, organization with like 60 computers and 4 servers or something. So we'll see. Again, this is an intro. It's not one where they have this need, where things are terrible. I think they're looking for something new. But, Bob's good at least getting a foot in the door and allowing for a meeting to introduce ourselves. So I'll get in there, find out what they're doing, find out if there's any gaps. If there is, great. If there's not, that's okay. Now we've at least got someone who's talked to us in the market. So we get a few of those under our belt, and we'll have business there too. So that's kind of neat. I don't have to fly there. It's going to be a Teams meeting. Don't panic. So yeah, that's that. How about you, Matt? Any new prospects in the wing?
So no new prospects. We did just recently close on a few new social media deals. So what we've
Nice.
been starting to do is get more into the engagement realm of social media. So obviously we do the design and things of that nature, but what we're really trying to get into is just really learning, the organic algorithms more and more,
Okay.
getting better. We're really tapping into like Facebook groups and things of that nature. So a lot of our clients are in the trades, so like HVAC and things of that nature.
Okay.
So really working on engagement and social media right now. So that's cool. And then of course, like we've talked about, doing the email outreach. So should have by next Monday a little bit of data to share with people, which should be pretty cool as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be awesome to see. How about you, Manish? What have you been seeing coming in from an activity
All
from
good, Brian.
campaigns and
So
stuff?
as usual, yeah. So our campaign is performing well. I'm busy this week on because one of our client has event for his product. So for the product is Amstel Neo for the 21 medical. So that
Yeah.
is the body sculpting product. So the event date is 27th of Thursday, 27th of March. So I'm working on the campaigns, email campaigns, social media posts, flyers. So we are not restricted for the digital marketing, so we are helping our client with their flyers, brochures, some physical marketing things for
Yep.
backdrops and these type of things. So I'm working on that. So this is a pretty hectic and busy week for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw that campaign went out. I think I shot you a little message. I think the one just about this event. I was just looking at the open rate and some of the clicks on the link in there. Did we see any RSVPs or anybody that said, "Hey, I'll see you there"?
Yes, Dan. So we have sent almost five campaigns. So
Okay.
we started this campaign from, an initial month in February. In the first week of February, we started the campaign. So we every week we were doing the campaign. What we did in last week, we made a personalized email marketing campaigns to those accounts which Sean interacted with bridal show. So
Okay.
recently he visited in a bridal show in North Carolina, and then he found some 120 prospects. He engaged with
Yep.
120 prospects and introduced the business. So he gave me that list and he asked me how to utilize that list. And I found the list and then I created a personalized email campaign. Then I sent out that email campaign. Till now, we got more than 10 RSVPs from
Oh,
all
that's great.
activities that we are doing. Yeah. So
That's
it's
really good.
like more than 10 form fills. They have made a confirmation that they will be joining the event, and few phone calls we got. I think four or five phone calls we got. So if I talk about the exact number and data, I think probably that would be something 15.
Very good. That's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm sure Sean's really excited.
yeah, that's very exciting.
Very cool. Well, awesome. Good job with that. All
Thanks,
right.
Brad.
You bet. Cool. Let's check it. Oh, so Matt, you were telling me some news that you saw in regards to some new AI tech in cancer research. So how did you find out about this, and so what exactly is going on?
Yeah, so usually in the mornings, I'll honestly just kind of Google business news, kind of just what's going on in the world, just see what's going on. And one of the things was, yeah, this new AI technology, which I guess is using your fingerprints to see how your cells are reacting to certain drugs. So I guess they're doing this for cancer research right now, and individuals with various types of cancer, they're given these drugs, and then I guess they're using their fingerprint information to kind of see how these cells are reacting to these drugs, if it's
Okay.
working, if it's making them better. But yeah, really, really interesting to see how much. Like I know we were talking before the show, how much you can really know with just a fingerprint.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like everybody has a different one, and I didn't know that taking these chemicals, I'm guessing it's chemotherapy related kind of stuff, actually can change people's fingerprints, and even cause them to disappear, which is crazy. So it must be they've got all this data from years of doing, using these different techniques and drugs and some of the reactions if they've been tracking them. So I'm guessing they're just building kind of an AI that can tap into that information and quickly kind of make decisions on what needs to be done with certain types of reactions to the chemicals.
Yeah. I would assume just like a very quick way to just get data at a very fast pace is probably how they would use that technology, I
Yeah.
assume.
And okay, yeah. So I found this article talks about it helps speed up the drug development process. Like this is what works for this. So maybe instead of taking 10 years to develop a new drug, they can do it in one or two or something maybe.
Yeah, it's just like in marketing and like SEO and all that, how AI is just, how it used to take so long to just sift through, piles and piles and Excel sheets of data. And now AI can just grab it for you. It's really, truly nice and really allows us to advance a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like when the internet first kind of started getting into homes and being accessible, it didn't start here, but being accessible, like in the '90s, it wasn't huge. Like not every word in the dictionary or possible combination of letters had been purchased for domains and stuff like that, and it was steadily growing, and it's obviously enormous now, and it's almost to the point where there's just so much information out there that to start researching, it's almost like you used to go on the internet to get research and you could get it done. Now you go on the internet to try to do research and there's overload, like of which is the good information, which is not the good information. Most of it is just people giving you just enough information to tease you and then want to charge you for the rest of the information because so much of the internet is monetized, right? It's like, how do I do this but now you can go to AI. You can get answers. I get concerned sometimes because the AI will, how does it know, how to sift through the wrong and the right? So, but
Yep. And that's where it becomes where it's how I always say is, use it as a tool, but don't rely on it too much. Like kind of how like we talked about, I think on a previous BLP episode, it's like, yeah, it'll help me write the contract and things like that. But then you got to go in and fact check it. So it's like, I feel like we don't want to become too over reliant on it because like you said, who knows if they really know if they're getting the good and the bad there. But
right.
That's where the training comes in with AI and how it's AI there.
Yep. And working with it long enough to be like, no, that's not the right answer. How about let's try it again? And it's still not there. Like if I try to get it to I'll like upload some data from like a document and I'll say, okay, make this an Excel spreadsheet with this on the x-axis, this on the y-axis, and this here, or whatever. Make me a formula to do this. Okay, I can definitely do that. Give me just a second. It does it, and I open the spreadsheet, and the data's in like a table form, but it's not active data. It's like the formulas don't work. And then I'm like, I go back to it. Hey, these formulas don't work. Can you redo it? Oh, sure. Oh, sorry about that. Let me fix that. Formulas still don't work. So it's like it's got the thought process of how to communicate with you and correct things, but it doesn't always have the ability to do it correctly.
Yeah. Like we were talking about, I think it was a few weeks ago when we're trying to do the AI image generator and the guy's got like 6 fingers on one hand. And
why are you doing that? Like where on the internet does it say people have 6 fingers? Or make me a sign that says hello and then it spells hello with 1 L. It's like, okay, you're not quite there yet, buddy. But that's all right. It's definitely, I love too in like interviews, like with like Elon Musk or something when they're saying like, what are the chances that AI is going to turn into Skynet from Terminator? And he's like, about an 80% chance we're going to be okay. Maybe 80-20, 90-10. And I don't know about you, but a 10 to 20% chance that, AI is going to take over the world and kill us all. I don't like those odds. I mean,
yeah. Well, especially with the Neuralink thing, that's where it's like when you start putting AI in your body, that's when it's like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, and the one side's it will make you superhuman and make you above human, but at the same time, does it really? Or does it just make you a superhuman that can now be shut down or turned off or turned on or man, I don't know.
I've seen enough movies to know what's going to happen.
I think, you're a bit younger than me. Manoj, you are. Manish, you're a little bit younger than me too. And Declan, you're definitely younger than me. But I'm at that middle-aged 40s where I'm like, I'm going to live through some of this stuff, but I'm going to be so old. Hopefully I could just scoot right back on my rocking chair and just, whittle a piece of wood and drink my coffee, and pray for the rest of you guys. Hey guys, we messed it up for you. Good luck. We figured out AI and trained it. Now you got to fight it. Because I'll be so old, it won't consider me a threat. Right? Maybe we'll just train it to take care of us old people and like smack you young guys around just to make sure that you toughen you up a little bit. Maybe that's what will happen because we've gotten so soft on kids the last 20 years. Maybe the AI will come around and it will just train it to be a little bit tougher on everybody and just give them some thicker skin.
So, Bran, what I noticed when recently, I have seen that the people from your generation, they know what is the reality. They know this is the content. Everyone is doing the marketing on the internet. 70% thing is not real. And we belong from the millennial generation. So in my generation, what I have seen, we have a mixed type of thoughts. Sometimes we believe on the content and we try to figure out, okay, this is something real. Okay, this is something promotional. But what I have seen in the recent generation, like Gen Zs and the new generation, new born like after 2010, or you can say after 2012, they believe everything is published on the internet. So they believe like, okay, this is true.
It's
this
true.
is fact. This is true. This is fact. When they get any messages on WhatsApp forwarding or any, reels or any shorts on Facebook or Instagram, they believe on every content, okay, this is something happening in the world. So this is something what could be dangerous and impactful in the future. So we shouldn't be, 100% rely on social media or AI or anything. We need to, develop that ability to understand and figure out what is real, what is fact, and what is fake and what is promotional. So I think that's how we can be safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see little bits and pieces of it in education systems in the last 20 years. Like in the, going to high school in the 90s, you weren't allowed for normal like math and algebra and things like that. You weren't allowed to use a calculator at all. If you got into calculus or like trigonometry, you could get like a graphing calculator if you could afford it. I mean, back then they were like $150. I definitely never had one. I didn't get into those. The highest I ever went was physics. But it's like, you had computers, but you weren't allowed to use them. They weren't in the classroom, right? It was, you get to go into the library to get on a computer for like 15 minutes every week or something if you didn't get in trouble. But everything from a problem solving perspective had to be done by working it out on paper in your head or like, talking to the teacher or group or something. But so much of it now is like everybody in classrooms has their laptop or has their Chromebook. Everybody has access to the answers to any questions that could possibly come up in school, no matter what their age is now. If they know how to type it and ask a question in Google or GPT, they can get the answer. So that, your brain is a muscle. And I know my muscle has atrophied over the years relying on technology. It's like, and you wonder why you kind of get frustrated when you really have to, get stressed and try to solve something quasi-complicated. That muscle it takes to connect dots and do if-then scenarios really quick and figure things out is atrophied in people. And that will happen more and more as we rely on these things. So, I don't know. I mean, like with anything, I always hate the phrase, it's a double-edged sword. Well, no crap, it's a sword. It's got two sides. It cuts you in and cuts you out. But it is a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that it can speed things up and help you do things faster and get more done. But the more and more you do it, the less and less you're actually doing. Things are getting done faster, but you're not really doing the things. So
Yep, I completely agree. But what I believe we should be, very strong with our basic principles when it comes for the learning or education or anything. I have seen that recent kids are not writing a single word or a single sentences. They are typing on everything on keyboard.
yeah,
So,
I think different
and
schools are
that
starting to
is,
do that different too. Is that what you're seeing in
yeah,
India? Is everybody's just typing? At what age do you see
Yeah.
that start happening? Really, really young, or
I have seen that, yeah, very really young, like 5 years old kid. I have seen they
in
are
school?
using the tablets and
Mm.
laptops and phones. So that is happening in India. So India is like very fascinated from digital things and
Yeah.
technology. So yeah. So now kids are. I have seen a 2 years old kid, one of my cousin's daughter, and she is not drinking milk without watching a YouTube video. So
Yeah.
her mom is giving her a YouTube video, then she is drinking milk. So that is
Yeah.
the habit is developed.
Yeah, we see that in our
For
house, don't we, Declan? Like my 4-year-old daughter Mila is like we sit down to eat, and she sits there and wait for us to give her the tablet or something. And we're trying to break her away from that, so that she can just like eat with us as a family and not have to be watching Cocomelon while she's eating her noodles or something. But it's tough because
yeah.
that she's built such a habit that she'll disrupt the whole dinner in order to get her way. We just have to be willing for a couple dinners to be saying, nope, we're not doing that anymore. And then if she gets her way, then my 6-year-old wants to do the same thing. So she wants to, well, Mila gets to do it. Why can't I do it? Here we go. But like,
Yeah.
two of my daughters, they go to a small Lutheran school in my town, and they don't allow any electronics in the classroom yet. I think up until 8th grade. They do have some instances where they have certain classes where they work on a computer, for maybe referencing things or stuff like that. But like they're still on paper books and notebooks. So that makes me happy. So they're still teaching the writing skills, whether it's standard print, in English, or cursive, which is kind of the flowing style of writing. But a lot of that stuff, at least in some private and public schools, is kind of taken right out of the curriculum, right, with like gym class and getting rid of recess.
Exactly, I completely agree. Those are the basic principles of the education. So we should be good enough in writing, reading skills. That is very, very important. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, I think one of the things early on in this technology revolution with this stuff in education is schools saw things like smart boards and laptops for kids and all this stuff, and they saw the good, like, oh, we can get all these things done and get organized, and kids can how we can use less paper, so it's good for the environment, all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, they didn't kind of foresee some of the negatives of all that, which is now that we've got all this tech, our kiddos don't know how to write, don't know how to sit for 15 to 20 minutes and read something because they're used to finding it so fast on the internet. They don't know how to use a library organization system and things like that. So, and I think that's going to come back to bite us. I mean, technology you can learn really fast, right?
Exactly.
If I would never give a kid a computer, an iPad, or whatever up until they're 13, the second I give them that thing, they need 5 minutes of watching somebody do it, and they understand how to do it fast.
Exactly.
They figure it out. So I don't think by holding someone back from those things a long time, now I know this, I didn't know it early, but I don't think by like waiting to introduce those things into someone's life is going to hurt them at all. But if we introduce those things early, they never get introduced to the basic principal skill sets I think you need to help minds grow and be open and problem solve. It's hard to teach those at a later age.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of things in life that we need to, as adults, try to hold back as far as possible from introducing to kids, because they just cause problems at an early age that aren't necessary, without getting into too many details. You know what I'm talking about, Declan over there, saying ouch. I'm not specifically talking about you, but I'm talking about me too. I knew about things way too early, and that was not helpful. So, anyway, yeah, I think that went down a cool path. Cool. All right, let's see what's going on in the world of Doge before we cut the feed for today. So, any good efficiencies since we got together yesterday? Looks like a couple updates on or comments on things Today's the 25th, so 23rd. Yesterday at 9:38 p.m. For the past 3 weeks, Social Security has been executing a major cleanup of the records. Approximately 7 million number holders, all listed as over 120 years old, have now been marked as deceased. Another 5 million to go. I wonder if they trained an AI to do this, or someone's got to look at like every single one. That would be brutal. That would be brutal. Only one update since yesterday. So I don't know about you, but it feels like some of the new-ish information has slowed down. This is interesting. Wow. So here's some interesting information. If you go on the Doge site, if you go over, I haven't looked at this tab before, but there's a regulations page. You can see a chart that shows the number of rules compared to the number of laws. So in 2010, there were 16.12 rules per law. And in 2024, there are 18.45 rules per law now. So this number is the number of agency rules created by unelected bureaucrats for each law passed by Congress. So why is that important? It was like, oh, okay, whatever. Laws have to be put into place by people that are elected, right? Laws say what we can and can't do in our society. Right? So we break a law, we're in a place where we could get in serious trouble. Well, in 2024, for every one law, there's almost 19 rules created by bureaucrats. These are just people who are hired into positions. People you'll never know their names, and that's okay. But given power to make rules that you have to abide by. And that's so you can see, if you just think about that for a moment, if you understand the basic kind of tenets of a democracy or a constitutional republic like we are, that we elect officials because of things that they run on, that we support. And if enough people from enough places elect those officials, then they carry the weight of the people they represent forward by making laws. And if they decide to make law, vote for or make laws that their supporters don't agree with, then there's going to be an election that comes back around and they'll probably get moved in a different direction, right? They'll get elected or replaced. But these rules that are made by people that are just in positions appointed, they're not. So you have no way of knowing or approving that rule set. So that's a problem. That's why we've got so many things happening that we're seeing within our government that we don't know about, or things that money are being spent on or sent to that we may or may not support. So federal regulations by agency. So Department of Treasury has 16,000 sections of regulations. Not sure what a section constitutes, but within those regulations, it consists of 14.52 million words. If you're on that page following me, down about halfway down that regulations page is federal regulations by agency. I mean, there's not an agency listed here that has less than 1.5 million words. The Department of Justice has a little over 4,000 sections of regulation consisting of under 2 million words. Federal Reserve, under 2 million. Securities and Exchange Committees, under 1.5 million. Veterans Affairs, 1.3 million. There's a lot of words, even for the lower end, but to have 14.52 million words under the Department of the Treasury, I think that's the highest one. I mean, that's a lot of words. I don't know. Generally, they say that, the more general rules and regulations are, the more fungible that they are. The harder, the more less, and maybe these have so many words because they're trying to be too specific. I don't think it takes that much. I just really don't. Who's going to read all those words and know everything that you can and can't do? Anyway, that's it for the Doge today. Thank you everybody for tuning in for episode 18 of the Business Line podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow.